Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Canada. It's Canada, Tom. We're in Canada. Oh, wait. We have an intro to this. Hi, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
My name is David Bell.
My name is Tom Ryman.
And we just watched SuperGrid. SuperGrid.
Or Grid.
SuperGrid. Take your pick.
That's all we got. It's one or the other.
Can't have both.
Welcome to another beautiful day in post-apocalyptic hell. The death toll is rising as millions of people fall victim to the black lung.
First stage is cough, then shakes, but it gets much worse. It's pretty disgusting.
Jesus.
Before we get started,
You can't put soup in a grid. It just it runs right through it.
It runs right through.
It's like trying to give a ghost a drink.
You don't want a soup that doesn't run right through it.
Right. Yeah.
You know what?
Even a good hungry man will run right through it. So
Let's really break this down. Tom, what is your favorite soup? I've known you for years. You're such a close friend of mine. I love you dearly, and I don't know what your favorite soup is.
Dave, I've been waiting so long for you to ask me, and I gotta tell you, my heart feels like it has wings right now. My favorite soup is this corn chowder.
That sounds so good.
That you can get from the supermarket. I forget the brand name, but it comes in a packet. And you just, it's one of those kind of packet soups that you make at home, and it is terrible for you, but it's the most delicious thing I've ever tasted.
That makes sense. Yeah, I get that.
Like, I will sit there and eat it until my stomach hurts.
Yeah,
like it is grotesque.
Yeah,
when
corn.
I eat this soup, I haven't had
I
it
thought
in
I was
about
the corn
10
guy.
years,
That sounds like Warmbo food.
It's
Warmbo
pure
food.
Warmbo fuel.
Yeah, it's cream corn.
I really feel like I'm vibing the same, like I'm mainlining the same stream of the universe as Warmbo when I'm eating that corn chowder.
Living that Warmbo life. Yeah. This isn't about soup, though, but I'm glad it is.
I'm glad
we
we
talked about it,
though. I'm glad we finally got that out of there. What's your favorite soup?
Oh, so beef. When I ate meat, it was a specific lobster bisque from a restaurant. Nowadays, I'm a broth guy, if I'm being honest.
Like a good broth.
So, yeah, so there's like a Thai place that does a vegetable soup where I'll just drink the broth. And that place
like
is really good.
Like a real sicko.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. I mean, technically, so my favorite ramen I never ate as a soup. So that doesn't probably count, right? Like, you ever do the thing where you do like a limited broth ramen?
Sometimes.
So I can't say that's my favorite soup. So I'm going to have to go with, I wouldn't
really classify that, like, you're talking about the instant ramen, right? Like
yeah.
not Raku ramen, I'm sorry. Yeah, the one everybody gets at the store for 99 cents a pack.
They made a discontinued ramen that's tomato flavored.
Yeah,
that I think about.
You've been telling me about it for 10 years.
I'm part of a Facebook group about people demanding it back.
I'm glad you have that. I'm glad you found them.
That's the best thing I've ever tasted, and I'll never taste it again.
You'll never get it again.
Not soup, though. Yeah. So I would say for soup, I like a good spicy broth with limited horse shit in it. Or, of course, fucking broccoli and the broccoli cheddar shit. They're really bad for you. Cream of broccoli. I'll fuck one of those.
Hell yeah, man! I'll throw it down. I'll throw it down for a good cream of broccoli.
So before we get started, though, Steven is the Patreon subscriber. He's our hot bowl of soup that had us watch
sweet corn.
Yeah, 2000, I think 17's SuperGrid.
2018, I'm seeing.
Okay, I was going to say it was a 17 or an 18 SuperGrid. Steven, thank you so much. Thank you for being a subscriber so long, for supporting us. It really means a lot. And Steven has given us some great films, mostly Canadian. There is a Canadian pattern to Steven. I don't want to alarm everybody with that, but that is just the truth. I don't think Steven cares what type of Canadian movie, just that they're Canadian movies.
You're really smothering us with Canada.
I do believe Steven gave us Wolf Cop. I don't know. I apologize if you didn't, Steven, but we have covered Wolf Cop and the Wolf Cop sequel, I believe.
Wolf Cop, yeah.
I bring that up because this is from the director of Wolf Cop and Wolf Cop 2.
It sure
is. And as I texted you last night, it was made after those films.
I know.
And can I ask you, Tom, am I out of line about my observations of this movie? Because I already sort of texted you about it. What did you think about SuperGrid?
I actually liked it.
Good. I didn't hate it. I have nothing against it.
That's kind of where I landed. I'm more positive, a little more positive than that. But this is like this. I feel like this is a fun guilty pleasure movie.
It also has high ratings, by the way.
Yeah,
you're not alone.
It's an admirable attempt at doing sort of a Mad Max type movie. It feels like the same writers as Wolf Cop, but it's not, which surprised me a little bit. Because
I think it's less funny.
It's definitely less funny, but it's not trying to be funny is the thing. This is kind of a movie that's done in earnest. This is a serious action movie, and I don't mean like serious like it's really dour, but serious as in like it's not like like Wolf Cop.
Yeah. No, people are probably expecting something zany. So this is available on Amazon if people want to watch it. Shut off the podcast, go watch it. It's an hour and change. It's short.
It's about 80 minutes. Yeah, it's nice and quick. I appreciate it. I like a movie that appreciates your time.
Yeah, me too. And this one definitely didn't need to be longer than that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's in a post-apocalyptic future where Canada, and apparently this is based off real things, that a mining area in Canada has basically poisoned the sky, I believe, and created the grid, this no-go zone. It's Escape from New York.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or any movie where it's like we've walled off this area and two brothers have to go do a delivery on the grid in their Mad Max car. And so it's a there and back again. We're going to go out. We have to go get this suitcase that I believe there was already sent people, but they failed. And these guys, it's like, damn it,
they got.
Yeah, and these guys, it's like, you said I was done. They're like, just one last run. Like he's the best of the best.
He messed up the last run. He got his sister abducted.
He's not the best of the best, I guess.
No, he really isn't. The best of the best was his brother, but his brother's retired, bro.
Right. But he brings his brother into it.
He sure does.
I only point that out because one of my observations, and this isn't a hit against the movie, but these two seem throughout the movie completely unprepared for every conflict. And I just think that's very funny. Like, because there seem to be these professionals and they are caught off guard every time. And like taken hostage multiple times.
They do
and I'm
get taken hostage a whole lot, but
they don't seem to be good at their job.
Well, I kind of liked that. I liked that they didn't blast their way out of every conflict. Like a lot of it was negotiation, and a lot of it was like, this isn't as grim as some other post-apocalyptic movies, and then it's not just about killing your way through bandit camps and blasting mutants and stuff. It's most of the conflicts they have to do without being violent.
Right. I guess my question though is like, what are their skills? Because I think that's a good idea if we realize like, oh, they roll charisma rolls really high. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I get it. They talk their way through it. But to me, it felt like they kept getting jumped. The first two encounters, they get jumped. Like by the guy at the trash depot. And then when they go to camp and he takes a leak, and it was like they keep getting just like bested and bailed out, and then they become like, then they go to the wall and they get held hostage there, and he's like, come on, man.
They
And
get held hostage by
robbed.
WWE superstar Christian.
Yep. And they keep getting like robbed and bested and being like, come on, man, let us go. And I'm like, what are you?
Yeah,
how have you been doing this job
they don't
for
really
so
seem
long?
to be good at anything. Like the older brother, Jesse, is allegedly a really good driver, and we see a little bit of that at the end when he has to defeat the big tank truck.
I just wish like we saw, because I do like what you're saying. Like if the brother was like really good at like scheming his way through things.
He was a little bit. Like
he was a little bit,
the little
yeah.
brother, I mean, like he was the one that was laying down the schemes, and like the older brother is like the rules of the road, like that kind of guy.
Right. It's all to say that like people are hearing this and they're thinking like, that does sound delightful, right? It's kind of the plot of the Twisted Metal show.
I kept thinking of Twisted Metal
show.
Yeah, I liked Twisted Metal a lot more than this.
Oh, me too. Because Twisted Metal, because that brings us to, I think, what I was texting you about, which is that this movie to me, for director of Wolf Cop and Wolf Cop 2, movies that were big enough, seemed shockingly low budget, like in a backwards direction from those movies. It seemed like it was living beyond its means a little bit. And so like...
A little. I thought they were clever in executing it, though. Like,
yes and no.
It felt small, but also I did feel like... that's contradictory, so maybe I didn't phrase it quite correctly,
right.
But like it felt big to me, like it felt expansive, even though all the shots, most of the shots are pretty confined.
I guess
it's still exteriors though, so I still felt like I was in this sort of flat wasteland type expanse in the post-apocalypse, even though it was very like, they were cheating their way around a lot of it.
Well, that's the thing is like, I feel like they needed some post-production, or like they needed a movie like this. Like, I don't mean to compare it to this movie, but they're similar genres, is like Dread, right? Or Escape from New York.
Yeah.
Anything where the plot is simple. It's there and back again, gritty characters. We're not reinventing the wheel plot-wise, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like those movies, what they tend to sort of live and die on is world building, right? Like what makes Dread fun is like, look how cool it is. Or Escape from New York, it's like, look how gritty everything is, and this scum feeling. But like with this one, like for example, in the Wides where they're driving through the wasteland, there's telephone poles, there's fields of farmed grass, there's blue skies, and it's just like, this just looks like you filmed this anywhere. And that's what, like they say, a lake is poison, but the lake looks fine.
Flames on a mountain in the background.
Yeah, and it's sort of like, and this isn't their fault, because I'm like, this is a matter of budget, right?
Yes, yeah.
It's their fault in the sense that
the problem isn't on the page or in the necessarily in any other part of the execution, like not in the acting or anything.
Not in the acting, not in the cinematography. They're doing what they can with what they have, and I thought, like the first Wonder shot when he's walking down Scum Street. Yeah. When I saw that, I was like, oh, if they can keep this up, this works.
I genuinely said, okay. Like when the movie started, I was like, all right, movie.
But it feels like a situation where it's like I'm like, you should have shot more at night, right? Like shoot more when we can't see the landscape.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, or just if you don't have the budget, you have to make something else, I guess. But like, it was little things like that where it was like he wears these medical masks because they have the black lung, and the medical mask looks like a realistic standard medical like breathing oxygen mask, and that's fine. But when you're making a gritty Mad Max, it's like every little thing builds that world, right? So it was like, I wish the mask looked better. Like, I wish you did like this cool metal mask with like spikes on it, or like where it's like where we're like, that's what they got, right? They're a gritty post-apocalyptic serious movie with car chases.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like they didn't quite have the budget to build that world out.
Yeah, that's legitimate. I do feel like they did do some stuff, some world building stuff that was pretty clever and pretty well executed, like the constant sort of air raid thing where it's just the voice repeating like stick to cities and stay safe, brought to you by the whatever the corporation is, and you see a lot of like the posters in the background and little things like that.
For sure. That's the thing is like if I were to do this movie again, the only thing I do is I take everybody who worked on it and just give them more money. Like that's my feeling of it. Is I'm like it has nothing to do with the filmmakers,
right? Because the ideas are there, yeah.
But it gets kind of silly when they get to the main place and he goes, "This place is a fortress," and they look at it and it just looks like a car dealership with like chain link fence around it.
It's a junkyard.
It's a junkyard. They go to like multiple junkyards, I feel like, because that's where you can shoot.
A lot of junkyards, yeah.
And they're like, this is a fortress. And I'm like, is it? And then they just like break the chain link. And I'm like,
they just have bolt cutters.
Yeah.
And they sneak inside.
It's like, that's not, I can get
we didn't have
there.
to try that hard to infiltrate this place.
Yeah.
Like to get inside the castle at the end of Krull, they had to crush their Cyclops.
Right.
Like you guys just kind of cut your way inside like teenage pranksters.
Right. And I keep thinking like, okay, shoot it at night, have an implied place, right? Like have a matte painting or two, you know, like, and then work in close-ups or something like that. It just felt like they were just thinking very big. And ultimately, like, it was sort of the same with the stunts, where like the chase, that one chase was really cool that they did with the baghead guy.
Yeah. His gang of motorcycle mutants.
Yeah, that was chill.
It was pretty sweet.
I wanted more of him, honestly, because he was sort of
he was kind of like a mini boss. Yeah, he's the one that steals their sister in the beginning when the little brother screws up his run and crashes.
Right.
And he gets he's real ugly. He looks like just like a big booger, and that was fun.
He looks like Jason Voorhees.
Yeah, they pull his mask off. It's a real Jason moment. And then he gets shot and his head explodes like a watermelon. So that all was great.
That was the part where I was like, there it is. Like what it is I feel like based off Wolf Cop, because Wolf Cop I think was them kind of understanding their means, where they're like, okay, keep it in a small town.
Yeah, and really
not
fun,
too epic.
Really fun satire of the genre.
Yeah, and they're good at gore.
Yeah,
and this movie has gore in it, and it's good.
Yeah,
you know, like they clearly have good gore. It
not
feels
as
like
much as you might
like,
expect from the makers of Wolf Cop.
No, again, like you said, this is more serious.
Yeah,
which I also kind of think. I don't know. See, that's the thing. It's like I think that works if the world is really built up, because otherwise, I'm like, I don't know, make it funny. Might as well make it funny. But
there's some jokes in it.
There are, and I don't want to be too hard on this film. I'm glad. Like, so it sounds like I didn't dislike this movie, but I want to know what you liked about it.
I think it has a lot of charisma, like Wolf Cop and Another Wolf Cop.
I agree with that.
Like I'm just rooting for the movie pretty much. I think it's like it's a little corny, but I do like the script. Like I liked how it was written.
I think it's
the dialogue more so than the actual plot stuff. But
having seen Wolf Cop, I'm like, I bet he knows it's corny. He's going for corny, right?
A little bit, yeah, but he's doing it earnestly.
Yes, and that's actually I think important.
That's a good thing. Yeah, that's how you do it. If you want to be serious, but it's a corny kind of sandbox that you're playing in, you have to do it genuinely.
Right, and I don't know where that ends, meaning that like I do think they had budget limitations.
Definitely, yeah.
And that's why I'm like, oh, I wish you almost leaned into the cheese with that stuff.
Yeah, like a Turbo Kid.
Yeah, or like Birdemic even. Make some of the effects really silly.
Oh man, I don't...
Make a car explode and they go like, wee off. Like you cut,
somebody goes like pinwheeling out, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know, give it something stylized there, but he's going for
just get really wacky with the violence.
Right. Yes. Or yes, leaning to the violence, because like that's what it is. Where I'm like, I'm trying to think of like what makes this pop out for people where they're going to remember it, and I feel like
kind of another one I'm thinking of is Doomsday.
Doomsday, yes,
from the director of
that
Dog Soldiers.
Yeah,
but that sort of, I think, is closer to what we're talking about in the sense that it's corny, like it's a goofy world that they're playing in, but the violence is so over the top.
They take it seriously.
Yeah, like they take it seriously, and then the fun comes in the violence being crazy over the top.
Yeah, exactly. And the world being crazy.
And
over
the world
top.
is crazy over the top. Yeah, it's
like
that's
in Doomsday,
a nuts
like
world.
Malcolm McDowell Knights gang, you know?
Yeah.
Or you think of the Warriors, where it's like different gangs,
baseball
different
Furies.
costumes. And I couldn't tell. I honestly couldn't tell. I was watching with this Hana, and I was like, "This is like a Mad Max," and Hana was like, "Is it?" And I was like, "I think." But then I was like, "Is it like the road? Like, what is is it going for like Road Warrior? We're having fun. Look at all the costumes and gangs, because it doesn't have enough for that."
It feels a little closer to The Road or like Fallout.
Right? Yeah.
It's not really Mad Max. It's more like people just trying to survive rather than war boys riding awesome war rigs to die historic on the Fury Road.
Right. And that works, but even that, I'm like, I wish because that feels like so for example, they go to, so on the road, on their trip, they stop at this one junkyard, they get these dudes go after them, and they get sniped. And I thought that was a really cool idea. This is my only narrative nitpick. I wish they kept the sniper going.
Yeah, they should have kept that a secret a little bit longer. I had the same
thought. That was
thought.
A plot point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because several times they get saved by a sniper, and they radio the bad guys who are making them. And they're like, "Do you have an Overwatch for this?" And they're like, "No." So I thought the movie was going to be like, "Ooh, who's the sniper? Maybe it's the sister. Maybe it's, who's it going to be?"
They do keep it up for a little bit, but yeah, they do kind of reveal it. I feel a little too early. They could have had a little bit more fun with that.
They revealed it literally as I was writing the note. Ooh, I like this sniper thing. Oh, never mind.
No,
it was like, oh, they revealed
there she is. She just walks out of the darkness.
Yeah. But I thought that was compelling. But on their way, they stop at, is it an X's place? It's a doctor, and she has,
That's his, that's the younger brother's ex. Yeah.
Right. And she has this like group of survivors, and she's like,
yeah, it's like a homestead enclave sort of.
Right. And this is the stuff where I'm like, oh, I wish you could sort of show this a little better, because it was by a lake that they're saying was poisoned, but the lake looks fine.
It just looks like a normal lake. Yeah.
Yeah. And it looks gorgeous. Everything's green. And I was just like, can you at least like brown up?
Right. It really doesn't look like a wasteland. It looks like Civil War, Alex Garland's Civil War.
It does. It does. And then she's like, we don't need guns, we need water. I'm like, well, the grass is green. Like, surely it's raining.
Right. It looks like the infrastructure has collapsed more so than like the land is unlivable. It's toxic and turning people into mutants. Yeah, baghead mutants on motorcycles.
Right. And the houses are even clean. Like, they're nice.
Right. Yeah. They just look like the center of this little enclave is just a really nice like country house, like a bed and breakfast type house.
Right. And it's like, where's your trash? Like, do you have put big piles of trash in the back? Do stuff to make it look like this place is run down or they're self-sustaining in some way. But it's like they mowed the lawn, it's the set deck where I was like, oh, come on, man, ugly it up so it feels like we're in this world. Mm-hmm. Because I like that idea.
Everybody's very clean too.
Yeah. Yes, everybody's very clean. Or like have them be a tent city. That's cheap, right? Like just do a tent city in a field where it's like they don't even have houses. Like that's how bad it is, or like something like that. Like surely, and it's that stuff where I was like, man, it doesn't feel like I keep forgetting it's the apocalypse.
Yeah,
and you're right.
It feels more like America's just collapsed. You know?
which is fine too, but they keep talking about the black lung and
Yeah.
there's all this stuff in the sky. And it's like, if you can't show, like if you say that the sky is dirty, you have to show that.
I was
right?
also real unclear on the black lung because in the
Me
beginning,
too.
they introduced it as being this airborne thing that was, just wiping people out so much so that they had to
right.
make the SuperGrid. But like later, the little brother just has it. He's coughing around everybody. Nobody's worried. Like they go in to
Right.
look at to help some of the people who are sick, like when they go to Eagle's compound. And
Right.
the older brother's wearing one of the surgical masks, and she's like, and the younger brother like kind of scolds him. He's like, "Oh, you can't just catch it." And then Eagle's like, "Yeah, it's you have to you only get it through direct exposure." And then he's like, "Oh, okay," and he takes off the mask. It's like, so wait,
But
I thought
what
it was
does that mean?
You're
Yeah.
right. Like I thought it was airborne, but you can't just catch it. So what does
Because
exposure mean? Like I was really they suddenly like they don't want to take it very as seriously as they posited at the beginning.
Again,
if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's like, here's an idea. Just have the main characters, and a lot of the characters have hazmat suits on. Hazmat suits are expensive, but you're making a movie, you can probably figure it out. And just make it that this area, maybe they do have electricity. Maybe the water is okay. It's just they're all infected and dying, right? And so then you just have like makeup effects, signs that the infrastructure is crumbling, like, mounting guard, like the movie Contagion, you have it where it's like, or like you said, Civil War, where it's like just show some basic prop signs that society is collapsing, but it doesn't have to be like a smoldering sky and like fire and like, it can be like, yeah, they are mowing the lawn because they're all infected.
Yeah. Or just make it not airborne too. Like that's easy. That's just like a line.
But it felt like they really were going all in on this idea of like, we were about to see New York and Escape from New York. Like we were about to see a crumbling wasteland.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't think you have the money to do that. So you have to write around it.
That's kind of my biggest sort of hit against the movie is the whole movie does feel like it's building to something that never happens.
Yeah, because it's a there and back again. So spoilers. Basically, they find out that the in the suitcases are 3 little jars of cum, which
cum
are the
jars,
cure.
which is the cure.
Yeah, they do a wild
it's
thing
Robert
with the
Smith's
cure.
cum.
Yeah, because they make a deal with the guy to go and bring it to this doctor, and they say she's going to dilute it. What's wild is that she totally doesn't. They inject
just
2
pops
entire
it right
vials.
in there. Yeah, the whole vial. Yeah,
they say we have to test it first,
Pretty
make sure it doesn't
fucking
kill this little
precious.
girl.
Yeah.
And then at the end, they act like it's a victory because they're like, but we left her 1. And I'm like, I mean, that 1, yes, she'll dilute it. But you know what would have been more? 3.
Yeah.
Like,
did you
3
need
would have
2 of
diluted.
them?
Yeah, like you really burnt through 2 of them.
It's like the Simpsons episode where they're stranded at sea and Homer keeps using their canteen to wash his socks.
Right. But see, you could do a version of this, right? So what you would do is you'd have a gritty scene where the bad guy is like, has everybody at gunpoint and is like, my daughter first. And they're like, okay. And then they go to they go to
WWE
inject
superstar
it.
Christian says my daughter first.
They go to inject it, and then he goes, wait, test it on you first. And they could be explaining like, we can't waste whole vials like this. And he's like, either you waste it or none at all. You know what I mean? Like if he strong-armed them and they were forced to waste the 2 entire vials.
Yeah.
That would be a way to do it. But they just sort of give all 3 to the doctor lady.
That would be a little more compelling. It would make that character a little more interesting because he starts off as an antagonist and then they're like, well, we have this is a cure. If you come with us and fight with us, we can like reclaim our lives and we can.
It's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah. But if they had him do that, it would make him a bit more of a challenging character. Like here, it's just sort of they make him this deal, and then he's just a good guy thereafter.
Yeah, and then the doctor, when they're like, we have to bring it to her, because he makes the deal of like, listen, just let us bring it to her. And the bad guy says, he's like, it seems like I already have it. Like, what do I need your help for? And they're like, yeah, but she can dilute it. But then she doesn't dilute it.
No, it just jams that whole goddamn thing into his arm.
Yeah, so it's like he didn't need to come with them. He could have just injected his daughter with that whole thing.
Yeah.
So it was like, it was weird because it was like, that's what they said she gonna do. And then when they give it to her, they're like, is this a cure? And she just looks at it and goes like, yeah, maybe.
I guess
and I'm
so.
like,
Yeah.
no microscope?
She has a
I
very
thought you were a doctor.
Yeah, she has a very muted reaction to possibly holding the cure to the apocalypse in her hand.
Yeah. But to your point of it not feeling like it had much of a point, I think it's that they were going for a simple story, but it didn't have enough style. And like, I don't know, the one thing that bugged me is when the brother has the head-on collision with his nuclear-powered truck.
Yes.
Okay.
His nuke truck.
His nuke truck makes an explosion, and I was like, oh, he sacrificed it. Nope, never mind, he's fine.
Well, he's not fine.
But they show he makes a full recovery.
Is that what that was?
I don't know.
I thought that was him. The ending is a little tough to...
I thought it was them going on another run.
Yeah, the ending was a little
not.
tough to figure out.
Either way, he's fine enough to talk for a little while at least. And that was very funny to me because they show him collide head on with another truck and they do a nuclear explosion.
A mini one.
Like a mini one. And then they show him laying on the ground bloody. And I was
it's like a quarter of a Predator. A quarter of a Predator explosion.
Mm-hmm. And then he has his limbs still.
We see him getting ready to dive out of the truck, so we can connect those dots.
I guess, yeah. It still seems like he'd be more fucked up.
It's a little silly. Well, yeah, and then the bad guy. You keep referring to WWE superstar Christian as a bad guy, that's fair. He is a bad guy.
Wait, is that the same guy? Oh, yeah.
The bad guy is Jonathan Cherry, who is the buddy, the friend from the Wolf Cop movies.
He's also in Final Destination.
Yeah, he's the dude that gets killed by the fence in Final Destination
he's the dirtbag.
2. Yeah, he's the dirtbag.
I'm always happy to see him.
I love him in all of these movies. He's great.
He was in Goon. Yeah.
He is in Goon. That's right. He's great in all these.
He's great in everything. He's great in this.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun. He's doing a great job as the bad guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I just like you said, everything on the page is good. Like even that,
sorry, real quick. I brought that up to say like he's standing about 100 yards away from the nuke truck when it explodes, so he should have gotten blasted into skeleton dust too.
Yes. Yeah, they should. But that's the kind of cheese where I'm like, yeah, that's
fine. And I can sort of infer that, okay, this is a future. They don't call it a nuke. They keep calling it something else. So, we can sort of just be like, oh, okay, I guess this is like a future tech that's kind of like a nuke, but maybe it's not as dangerous or something. I don't know. It's future shit.
Yeah. I think what it is stuff like that is very silly, right?
Yeah. It's a Jetsons car, like at the Flurgle Slam or whatever the fuck they decided to call the engine.
For me, I think the ratio is off. And what I mean is like there's a certain awesome to silly ratio with movies like this.
Yeah. It needed to be a little more awesome.
Yeah. I needed more. And I think they would have done that if they had more of a budget, where like I need the stunts to be a little more awesome. I need them to have more money to do the awesome world and awesome effects. You think of The Beekeeper, where it's like, I need them to have the budget to yank a man off a bridge. Like,
yeah, or like even like you pointed out, this was made after the Wolf Cop movies, and it feels a little smaller than them. Like the first Wolf Cop sort of builds to a scene where he drives a car into a barn rave and wolfs out on everybody while it's burning to the ground.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It really does feel like Wolf Cop has a bigger budget than this movie. And this movie is even larger scale than Wolf Cop.
And I mean, to be clear, and in fairness, it wasn't a spectacular sequence, but it was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it was awesome. Like
it was
a good example of that in here is the guy getting his head blown off.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I was like, oh, that's awesome.
There was a couple. I'm trying to. There was another one I had flagged. Well, it'll come to me.
Yeah. But like, it was just weird to me because there were things I flagged that I'm like the sound like the sound in Wolf Cop is very good, and the sound in this, I was like, did they not have the money to get proper sound? Like at the beginning at the bar when they beat him up, made very funny sounds because it sounded like a bunch of guys going like and like some like stock punches, and it was like that's the sounds, and it felt like they didn't have a stunt coordinator, so it's like kind of crowd them and pretend you're beating them. Like it felt like that a little more, where it was like like they were missing key crew. Yeah, it was like it felt like they didn't quite have the crew that they had on Wolf Cop. So like they were sort of like the sound generally felt like just not as polished.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe it was just a little more ambitious than I don't know. Maybe it was just a little more ambitious than they had the means to do at the time.
That's so.
Yeah, not just like budgetarily speaking, but like I don't know. Maybe trying to going from something as pretty straightforward and simple and contained as Wolf Cop to like this expansive post-apocalyptic like road movie.
Yeah,
it's pretty
like
big.
They bit off more than they can chew.
Yeah,
but like, like the vibe I got from this is when I didn't even realize it was the director of Wolf Cop at first, and when I found that out, I was like, oh, this must have been his first film before Wolf Cop. Like, because that's what this feels like. It feels like someone's first film where you're like, ooh, they're a good director.
Yeah,
these are talented people, but they need more money. And then learning that it came out years after Wolf Cop, and I double checked. This was shot in 2017 when Wolf Cop 2 came out. So like learning that, like, because I started thinking like, oh, maybe he shot it before Wolf Cop, but then it came out after.
Yeah.
Like it feels like a really, really strong first film where you're like, I can't wait to see what happens when they give him a budget.
Yeah.
So it made me go like, what's happened here? And I think it's also Canada funds these things.
I believe that's right. Yeah.
Maybe Canada was like, we don't like this as much. Here's less money.
I'm not sure. I think you have to apply for it. I have no idea how it works. Maybe some of you Canadians.
I'd love to ask.
How do you say Canadians?
Canadians.
That's not right.
Because he's made a film after this year called Die Alone, and it has Frank Grillo and Carrie-Anne Moss, and I'm looking at just the trailer and I'm like, oh, he has a budget here. So I think that's interesting.
I'm gonna have to watch that.
Yeah. I think
Frank
it's
Grillo
not uncommon.
Is so veiny.
He is.
Very veiny man.
He could use his veins to fight someone, just punching with his veins.
Yeah. He already looks like 38% of a Wolf Cop, so
he does. He should be in a Wolf Cop.
I mean, he's in that movie Werewolves that I cannot wait to see. Werewolves, yeah. I just wonder, like, it's probably just like any director can tell me where it's like, yeah, sometimes if you're still in the indie world, you'll get a big budget and then you'll get a small budget, then you'll get a big budget. You know what I mean? Where it's like, maybe it's as simple as that. Yeah, and it's not like Wolf Cop was a huge hit.
No, but it was big enough, right? Like
I'm actually not sure. I feel like it has a strong cult following, but I've never actually looked into it.
Right, like it had
enough
sequel,
to make
and
a
Kevin
sequel.
Smith was in it.
Kevin Smith was in it. That's right.
It had that like.
Yeah, it must have been. It must have done.
I'm gonna try to look it up here. Reception has like high-ish. I mean, they made a sequel.
Yeah, that's it's usually a good sign. A sequel with Kevin Smith in it.
I'm not seeing anything on box office. Probably because the first one was like it sort of, Yeah, I guess another Wolf Cop, maybe because it went straight to streaming, did not have a high box office, but it earned enough. It earned a couple 100,000 in DVD and Blu-ray. Not that means anything.
Yeah,
it's really hard to tell. Like, it's definitely indie.
For sure.
Like, watching those movies, you can tell, like, this is an indie film.
Even, like, I feel like, I remember having the thought while watching another Wolf Cop when we covered it, that it felt like even that one had a little bit less money than the first Wolf Cop.
Yeah, I guess it's tough, because you look at the Wolf Cops, and I was like, they're indie enough. They felt like Evil Dead when that came out, where it's like they're indie, but I bet there's a lot of people, they're playing at festivals. It played at Fantastic Fest. It got, attention of a lot of places. Again, Kevin Smith's in it. So you think like, and maybe this is what happened. Like the next step for a director like that is like, oh, I can't wait for them to be making a Marvel movie at this rate, where it's like, or they're going to give them a big studio thing or something where it's like, okay, you can make movies. But then you think about like, Kevin Smith with Mallrats, where he was like, I kind of regretted that.
Yeah.
And it's like, maybe this director simply is going like, yeah, I don't want to go that route. I just want to make these indie films,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what making Wolf Cop does to a person, like psychologically, creatively.
I think it gets you early admission into Valhalla.
It better.
Like you have a reserved seat.
Yeah. It's just interesting because it's like, where do you go after that? And it's interesting for him to be
Odin's
like,
right nut, in honor of the Dick First werewolf transformation.
Yes. God, yeah, the Dick First.
Yep.
So good.
Yep.
I think it's interesting because it sounds like he wants to do more serious movies. Like he made SuperGrid. He made something called Dark Match. Which seems it's action horror, which looks good from what I'm looking at. But it's funny because it looks like his 3 films after the Wolf Cops are all this. It's all we're being very serious.
Well, this one wasn't totally serious. There is humor in it.
Yeah, I guess my question is,
but it's not like full on goofball satire like Wolf Cop. For sure.
I guess my question is, and maybe I don't know if you know the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, like if a comedic director, like Jordan Peele making Get Out, where it's like, do you have to essentially start over if you switch genres that much? Where it's like people around you are like, if you want to make a comedy, we can get you a comedy tonight. If you want to make a horror, we have to like back up. You know what I mean?
I definitely feel like that's probably true.
Yeah, so maybe for someone who did Wolf Cop, it's like if you want to go in a different direction, you kind of have to back up a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
No.
Yeah. I still enjoyed
That's off
this.
topic.
I still enjoyed this movie. I again, I thought it has a lot of charisma, a lot of charm.
I agree with that. I do. I think I agree with your assessment, which is like, I like this movie. It's very fun. I like the idea of it. Like I said, I just wish I could give them a bigger budget.
Yeah.
And then see them go with it. Because I do think it sort of needs a bigger budget.
It needs a little bit more, yeah.
Yeah.
Even Civil War needed a little bit more.
Yeah. More robots.
Always dinosaurs, too.
Dragons.
Robotic dinosaurs, dragons. Why not if we're making a wish list?
Yeah. Oh, God. What if there were just dragons in Civil War flying in the background?
Oh, hell yeah.
And they're like, it's crazy about the Civil War. And also,
can you believe the Civil War?
dragons.
Also, when the sky split in half and the dragons poured in from beyond the stars.
Civil War and Dragons.
Civil War and Dragons.
Yeah.
Well, and throw some sack-headed motorcycle mutants in there. Why not?
Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah.
Well, we're having fun with it.
Better yet, put the dragons on motorcycles.
Yeah. One last thing.
Don't put sacks on their heads, though. They need to be able to see.
They need to see. That guy only had one eye on his sack, and I was like, you need to use both eyes,
You
man.
got to use both, man. You need... Nope, never mind.
Nope.
He's got it figured out.
That's why. I will note that I just want to... I have a new Amazon Fire Stick, and I need to adjust it because it's doing that 60 frames bullshit. So I will note that everything I watch on it looks amateur.
Looks worse, yeah.
Yes, because it right now, at least, everything looks like fucking television, and that's driving me nuts. I gotta figure that out. God, I'm old. All right.
Turn off that motion smoothing.
Yeah. Come on, folks. Do it. Anything else?
No, I've said everything I wanted to say about this film. SuperGrid.
Thank you, Steven. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Always a pleasure. Again, you've given us nothing but interesting films, so
yeah, definitely.
thank you for that.
I've enjoyed all of these.
Yeah, this was through our Patreon.
Assuming it was indeed you who gave them to us.
Right. It was Stephen.
Okay.
Oh,
all
you
the
mean
previous
the past ones?
Yeah.
I think. Listen, folks, this was through our Patreon, patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed, GAMEFULLY, unemployed. We have exclusive podcasts on there like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Fox Mulder's a Maniac, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and Spiel Boys. We watch movies every Friday night with our patrons. We would watch a movie like Supergrid.
We absolutely
so check
should.
that out.
Or would, rather. We definitely have watched The Wolf Cops. At least the first one.
Yes.
We also have a store. Head over to gamefullyunemployed.com where you can find a link to our Teespring store. We have all kinds of cool original artwork and designs you can get on t-shirts, mugs, stickers, posters, all sorts of things. So check that out.
Yeah.
And check out our new show, Batical.
Batical!
Wherever podcasts are sold.
Yes, you buy Batical. It's free.
You spend your time on it, really.
Yeah, you give us a
Nothing
slip
in
of
life
your
is
time.
totally free.
Yeah, we put your time in our cash register, and then that's our time. We take it and we use it to live longer.
Yeah, we steal 45 minutes of your life, like the little troll from Cat's Eye.
Right, that's not much for you, but it adds up for us.
Right, but at the rate
who's immortal?
Right, at the rate we're going, yeah, Dave and I are going to live for 3,000 years.
Yeah, I mean, I also do a lot of dangerous things, so I might waste all that time.
I guess we need to do more podcasts.
They should make a movie where people have time on their wrists that say how long, and time is money.
Yeah, that would be really cool. And they have like time police.
Time police?
Some sort of time constable.
Yeah.
Time constable.
But like time is money, and you get like a member of a boy band in there. It'll be great.
Yeah. And your mom can be 6 years older than you and super hot.
Super hot. All right, we're watching that. We're watching that.
Gotta watch that movie again.
Oh,
all
shit.
right, we should stop. Bye.
Bye. Hey, listen, our music is produced by Chris Corlew. You can find him on twitter.com as the Corlew, or go to shipwreckedsailor.bandcamp.com. Our channel artwork is produced by Michael Vincent Bramley. For more of his work, go to mvbramley.art. Our episode artwork is by Justin Brown, available on Twitter as Justin T. Brown or at artnessbyjustinbrown.com. And finally, additional artwork is by Starlene Hodge. You can find her work at starlenearts.com or on Twitter as StarleneX. Cool. Goodbye.